Ronnie even had to say anything.
Mm.
But we have several members here and some guests here. So welcome. This is I Take the Lead. We are a Leads Group organization based out of Portland, and we are in Seattle as well as Denver right now as well. And we started doing what we call the networking webinar back in 2014 to help teach our members to become better and more efficient at networking. And we decided to open it to the public so that other people can also participate. Today, we have the opportunity to have the #1 requested presenter, Ronnie Noize, who was in the Pacific Northwest forever and ever. And she's just amazing. And she's going to be teaching us how to network today. She's going to teach us some great things about networking. And so I'm really excited to have her here. You'll be talking about your brand new book, right, Ronnie?
No.
Yes, you will. You're going to tell us about it so we know where to go get it. But anyway, she's the marketing coach. She's our marketing coach. She's just an amazing person, except that she just did leave the great Northwest. So she's now in the Midwest.
I got to have adventure, baby. Adventure.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, I will go ahead and turn it over, and Ronnie can continue to introduce herself. So Ronnie, it's yours.
It's mine, is it? Well, fantastic. I'm super happy to be here. Welcome. So there's a picture of Becky, and there's a little video of me. I'm Ronnie Noize, the marketing coach, virtual marketing coach. And today I'm going to share with you exactly how I built my business with networking. And if I can do it, I know absolutely that you can do it. So if you have a question while I'm talking, since I'm not going to be monitoring the chat, so please just speak up and let me know, because I'm gonna go kind of fast. As a matter of fact, we have a ton of stuff to talk about today. I'm going to talk about what networking is really and why it matters. I'm going to talk about that strategy that got me 29 clients in 42 days. That's 6 weeks. I'm going to share my 3 lessons learned. I'm going to show you the exact tools that I used, and I'm going to answer any question you can throw at me. Nothing is off the table, so please go ahead and ask. And, by the way, I have got something that I think you're going to find really helpful. And let me just get here in the chat. I'm going to give you my, oh boy, it's going to be weird. Okay, so this is not happening. I want to give you my my guided notes. And so, but before it's going to take me just a moment. And Becky, I'm really sorry I completely spaced this. So I am going to just a sec.
You're putting the link in the chat?
Well, no, it's not online. I'm going to
okay.
I'm going to just so just a sec. Okay, actually, can you talk for a minute? Because this is so
sure.
silly. I meant to do this before we started, and I didn't get it done.
Sure,
so if you can tell people a little bit about I Take the Lead and why it's so fantastic.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I want to thank everybody. We have a brand new member just joined in the last few days. Joe is here. Joe, are you there? Joe Thompson?
Yes, I'm here, Becky. How you doing? Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah. So, well, actually, Lynn, you want to share your experience with I Take the Lead? Lynn's been a member for 20 plus years.
Take the Lead is just, it's a type of leads group that is based on building relationships and working in a community, and you get to know either business to business folks or business to consumer, and you get to know them and like them and work with them, and you use those connections the rest of your life. To the fact my wife and I recently bought a townhome, and we used a realtor who was in the group a few years ago, but he had a specialty for what we were doing. And guess what? If you need something and you're in these groups, you don't need to go any farther. You're going to find somebody that's a good fit. And Ronnie is a wonderful speaker. I've heard her give this presentation a few times, including in the morning at an Elmer's Pancake House
Oh, wow.
when three drunks wandered in
Oh.
after an all-nighter, and within about 3 minutes, they turned around their booth and they were listening to the presentation. So, you
That's
remember
right,
that
baby.
one, Ronnie?
That's exactly right. Lynn, thank you for sharing that. Well, so you know what? I have come to the conclusion that I am just not going to be able to share these stupid notes today, which is really a bummer.
Wait, can you send them to me? And then when I send out the replay, since it is
Yes,
recording,
absolutely.
I'll
I
send
will
it with
I
it.
will
Okay.
absolutely do that.
Okay, perfect.
Okie dokie. So in that case, if we're ready, Lynn, thank you for the vamping. I really appreciate that. That was great. I love the way you tap dance. Let's, so we've talked a bit about what you're going to learn today at the webinar. Now let's start at the beginning, which is where a lot of folks get messed up. And that's with the definition of networking. So I want you to think about it for just a moment. And if you think you have a good definition of networking, please post it in the chat, but no cheating. So no Wikipedia looking, just post whatever you think networking really is in the chat. And Becky and Lynn, if you guys can look at the chat and let me know, let's see how close we really are. Because I'll tell you what it's not. As my dear friend Becky says a lot, networking is not selling. And I may add, it's also not about recruitment or about pitching or about job interviews or a monologue or only about you. So too many people, I think, are confused about what networking is. And that confusion hurts their business, hurts their sales, and hurts their reputations. But you aren't going to be making these mistakes because you're about to find out exactly what networking really is.
Can I give you a couple, Ronnie? One is
Yes.
opportunity to exchange ideas, skills, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Another person says trust building,
Mm-hmm.
building relationships, making a basic connection, people within your area. And of course, then it's fish and boat networking.
I think everybody's kind of right. But I'll share what I think it is in my words. I say, so just like networking computers and the internet, networking is connecting to serve, share.
Oh, did Ronnie freeze?
Ronnie froze.
Oh, she did.
Serve
Oh,
our
that's it.
markets.
And you're back. You froze just for a minute.
Oh, I froze.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
back.
Shucks. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So it's Iowa internet. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So networking is really about, as other people have already mentioned today, serving others, sharing ideas, connections, resources, supporting each other in our quest to reach and serve our markets and build our businesses. And this is all ethically, responsibly, generously. In other words, networking is about building mutually beneficial relationships. Shout out to whoever said that in the chat, because that is absolutely right. Because networking is about relationships, not about transactions. And mutually beneficial relationships means a lot of things. Not just relentless selling. It means referrals, it means introductions, it means advice, it means co-promotions, joint ventures. The list goes on, because your networking connections are not marks. They are your partners in success, and nobody does it better than the referral groups and I Take the Lead, if you'll forgive my friendly plug for I Take the Lead. I'm a big fan, as you can tell. All righty. So now that we've got that settled, let me tell you the true story of how I got 29 clients in 42 days and how you can do it too. So who's ready to hear the story? Can you raise your hand using emojis? We got a few. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we got some folks who are ready to learn. I am excited about that. Good. Okay, so it all started on a Monday when I had just started my business and I was in my home office and I had no clients, no appointments, and quite frankly, nothing to do. I did, though, have a pile of cards from folks I'd met at various events, but I really didn't know what to do with them. So anybody else, actually, I should ask the question, who here has a pile of other people's business cards on their desk in their office? I see those hands go right up. That's right. Okay, so go ahead and post the number of cards you estimate in the chat. So how many cards do you think you have piled on your desk? See, at this point, well, I knew that connections that the cards represented were important to me in starting my new business. I wondered, what should or could I do with a pile of business cards? I mean, but quite frankly, I couldn't face the idea of picking up the phone and doing cold calls to sell my services. So with nothing else to do, I counted them and I waited for inspiration. Well, you got to do something, always be in motion.
Yeah.
So did anybody have more cards than I had? I had 63. Oh, Lynn, you're muted.
Well, where is Lynn?
Clean has more than everybody. He
Yeah.
has 10,000 plus, but the average is 50 to 80, and there's some up to 500. So we got some big card collectors here.
Yeah. Well, those cards represent connections, which is why we don't want to throw them away. And I'm super excited about that new video. I mean, that new like little credit card sort of card thing I saw online. I think that's really sexy. But I still think most of us are going to do the hard copy cards because they're cute and they're fun. So I had 63, so I'm totally average, apparently. And actually counting the cards brought inspiration, because this quote popped into my mind. It's you can have everything in life that you want if you just give enough other people what they want. And that's Zig Ziglar. Now, I'd recently seen Zig Ziglar, and this really resonated with me. So it was on my mind. And I actually saw him at the Memorial Coliseum in Portland, Oregon. And you may be familiar with this quote too. But that day, it really made me think. Oops. Okay. It really made me think. And okay, so let me trying to make sure that I'm getting the okay. But so here's what it made me think. I wondered, what did I have to offer these 63 people whose business cards ended up on my desk? Because I didn't want to call 63, almost strangers with a rando sales pitch out of the blue. And also, I didn't want to call and offer to work for free, which a lot of people had suggested that I do. So luckily, inspired by Zig, a strategy formed in my mind: give people what they want, give to get. And this quote by the founder of Success Magazine really kind of explains it. We must give more in order to get more. It's a generous giving of ourselves that produces the generous harvest. But what do we do if we don't want to work for free? What do we have to give? So my bright idea was to help others so that they could help me, not by swapping services. I wanted paying clients who needed my services. I didn't want to do tradesies with people who didn't need or really want what I had to offer in exchange for their stuff that I didn't really need or want and probably wouldn't even pay for. What I wanted from these people, from any or all of my connections, was referrals to people who were ready, willing, and able to use my services and who were ready to benefit now from them. So my strategy became, my bright idea was to offer referrals, because I was planning to do a lot of networking and I planned to meet a lot of folks. And because I also realized that my prospects, the people who I wanted to work with, would need more than just my services. And as a professional, I should probably have some solid suggestions for who else could help them. I needed a network of colleagues, I should say. So with that in mind, and as much as I dreaded doing it, I decided I was going to make 63 phone calls. Now, as an introvert, is anybody else here an introvert? If you can feel my, oh, there she is. Yeah. Yeah. So picking up the phone can be very tough for an introvert. And so I knew I needed something to give me courage. Not liquid courage, but I needed a tool. And I didn't want to freeze while I was on the phone. I didn't want to blurt out something stupid because I didn't trust myself unless I was prepared. So I decided to write a script for the calls. And I got to tell you, it's one of the best scripts I've ever written. FYI, that script is available to members in the DIY member site. Just go in and search networking. It will pop up, my friends. So I called 63 people using my script, which worked amazingly well because I explained who I was what I wanted and why they should get together with me. Now, most of my meetings were at coffee places. I practically moved into the old Starbucks that used to be on 19th and Hawthorne before they closed it. But sadly, okay, full disclosure, it didn't start off at Starbucks. My very first day. Oh no. So Becky
I've
knows
heard
Oh,
this
yeah.
story.
that Becky
Oh,
and Lynn
yeah.
know this story. It's a little embarrassing. Okay, so I made a mistake, not perfect. Okay, so because I had a home office, in my defense, let me just say, I thought I could have meetings at home because I had a beautiful new home and it was very professional looking, but I was wrong. The very first day, when probably my second meeting, this guy showed up with a bottle of wine for our meeting. Yeah, instantly alerting me to the fact that not only lack of professionalism, but the danger of inviting complete strangers to my home means I should be meeting in public. Joseph, you're laughing at me. I don't appreciate it.
Smiling.
Smiling. I thought I saw your head bobbing in an actual laugh.
No,
Okay.
I can understand that you're good.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So now, luckily, those crossed wires were corrected, and I immediately rescheduled all of my meetings to happen at a couple of different coffee places around the city because I was meeting a lot of people in a lot of different places. So let me tell you how I handled the meetings. The ones that were not at my house, where I was fending off amorous potential connections. So at the meetings, I always arrived early so that I could get my own coffee and find a table, because I didn't want the confusion of hospitality mixed up with these meetings, because it is very confusing to people. You might not think so, but even buying someone a coffee can make them feel obligated and pressured, which isn't the point of these meetings. We are meeting as colleagues, as equals. We are there for mutual benefit. So, but I was there early, and frequently I stayed there for hours, having multiple meetings in a row. I always had my own cup of coffee. I had my name tag high on my right shoulder. So when I would wave my hand or extend it to shake, they could read who I was. Because I wasn't sure that everybody would recognize me. So that was kind of how I handled the beginning of the meetings. Now let's talk about the agenda. I had a very specific agenda at the meeting, so they wouldn't last over long. Now, I have heard stories of meetings like this lasting hours, but mine were scheduled for 30 minutes, and by golly, I didn't want them to go too far over. So that 30-minute window, and I scheduled one per hour, gave me time to wait if somebody was late, and also time to run a little bit long if we had to, but without delaying or crossing over the next meeting, because that never ended well. I don't want to go into stories, but remember, wine at the door. So because I actually did stack up as many as 4 meetings in one day, actually more than once. Now, the reason that these meetings, though, would go so fast was that I had an agenda. And actually, my agenda followed the referral sheet that I filled out for each person that I met. Now, I strongly encourage you, when you are having these meetings or any sort of like networking meeting, is that you should always be taking notes and not rely on your memory. And also, don't be putting it on the phone, because that distracts you too much. So just handwrite it out so we don't forget any important details or even confuse people. That way you've got a record of what happened, and you can transfer everything into your CRM later. Now, most of these meetings took about 20 minutes for me to ask them questions about who was a good referral, blah, 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 write their answers. And I got to be honest here. Listening and listening and taking notes, listening and not talking much really impresses people. It made them feel heard. And these days, a lot of times we don't feel heard. So, but then when it came time for them to ask me about my stuff, I would hand them a blank note sheet. And very quickly, I was able to just reel off the answers that they were going to need, so they didn't have to struggle with the process. Now, they had watched me taking notes, they had listened to my questions, but a lot of them simply were not prepared. And they loved the fact that I showed up with questions and an agenda, and I took notes because I had pieces of paper. That really makes a good impression. So my results, I bet you're wondering about this. Well, first of all, people sure were impressed by the meetings. They loved the initial phone call. They loved the way I set up the meetings. They loved the questions and the process. And I think it's the attention they got as I listened and the idea of mutual referrals. They really liked this. And 95% of these meetings ended really well. I mean, there was the one guy who was a little suspicious of this referral meeting, as he kept saying with the finger quotes, and couldn't believe, yeah, I was on the level. But that's on me. That's totally on me because I made a mistake. I mean, it sounds like I did nothing but make mistakes. I did a lot of stuff right, okay? But I really made another mistake. There goes Joseph again. Okay, so I made the mistake of switching the agenda from that referral meeting into a sales meeting. You see, he told me, oh, I'm so impressed with you. And he insisted that we talk about working together. He insisted on finding out what my coaching packages. He insisted on signing up then and there for my coaching program, right on the spot. And I was like, well, okay, this wasn't so bad. This wasn't so bad. But, you know, as he left, he wadded up the sheet that he took notes on and tossed it in the garbage can, which was right by the door. And I thought, well, so much for referrals from this guy, but a lot of my clients do refer, so that'll happen. But unfortunately, the guy who was coming in as he was leaving, I still remember the guy who was coming in, who was actually never my client, but I still remember his name because this was an experience. It was a friend of his. They happened to know each other because we were all in the same industry and people know each other. And my brand new client who was leaving from my networking meeting said, oh, what are you doing here? Oh, you're here to meet with Ronnie. Hold on to your wallet. Yeah, because she'll sell you her coaching program before you know it. So another tough lesson learned there. We need to separate the networking and sales meetings because you don't want to get the reputation for baiting and switching, for inviting people for a networking meeting, but you end up selling them something. Even if you separate them by an hour and say, gosh, I'd like to talk about this. Can I call you later tonight? Can I call you in an hour because I have another meeting coming in? That is better than being in the same space in the same chair and taking their credit card information. So you get to learn from my mistakes. I mean, obviously there were a lot of them, but it ended up okay though. So, but back to my results. After my first 2 glorious weeks, I'd had 24 meetings. It's at least 24 lattes, and I got 0 clients, but I had bought 24 lattes. You know, I still hadn't met the guy I just told you about. That happened like right later. But so then the question I had for myself was, what am I doing wrong? Because I had to be doing something wrong because the process wasn't working, right? So being a problem solver, I reviewed my process. This is a great thing to be taking notes on if you're going to be taking notes instead of just being charmed by my sparkling personality and my thousands of mistakes that I'm admitting. Okay, so I asked myself, did I connect with others? That's step 1. Yes. Did I set up one-on-one meetings with others? Yes. So that's step 2. Good. Did we teach each other how to recognize and refer? Yes, we did. But then what happened? Well, there was obviously something missing in my process because nothing happened. Okay. And I guessed, because we were talking about referrals, that it was sharing referrals that needed to happen. Now, I should also mention, I did send thank you notes, but a thank you note is not a referral. But I'd been so focused on process, like setting the meetings up, having the meetings, following up with a thank you note, that I didn't follow up with the reason we were meeting, which was to share referrals. And what's really exciting about this is now I had something to talk about. If I'm looking for referrals, not just for me, but like when I'm out going to networking meetings, because by this time I started going to networking meetings, then I had something to talk about. Oh yeah, I just met a really cool realtor. Oh yeah, you're starting to take credit cards. Well, I know a guy you should completely talk to. His name is Lynn. You know, all of a sudden I had resources to share, and I was so glad that I thought about that, because then I started making it a point to have those things in my conversation. There were always so many opportunities that I'd been letting them slip by, which was so stupid. Let me step back a moment to a shortcut that I found out. What else I discovered after a lot of trial and error was that the absolute best way to refer, which remains the best way for me, at least, and I'll tell you why in just a minute, is an introduction by email or text. Now, why not just hand them a business card and suggest that they speak to so-and-so? Why not do that? Well, because the truth is people don't usually follow through, and it's not because they're bad. So I'm writing a book on networking, surprisingly. And I've been doing some research, and what I found out floored me, because Becky and Lynn, you guys probably have seen this, and I have to tell you, there is science talking about this. It's not, when people just say, oh, you should call so-and-so, it's not, and the other folks don't follow through. Again, it's not because they're bad, it's not because they don't want to, but it's because their brains fool them into thinking the problem is solved because they have a referral from someone they trust, a suggestion of who might be able to help them, and so they feel good about it. All anxiety, all desire around that thing just floats away, and they forget. So they don't feel any urgency to get in touch. Problem solved is what their brain is saying. And so without an actual introduction, there's no pressure. And so they put it off, or they forget, and then they don't know which card it was, or they don't remember who introduced them. And, you get the picture. It just kind of floats away. So the absolute best way I have found is to do an introduction by email or even by text. The point is, you want to have a trail, a paper or electronic trail of connection, so that the person that you refer to, so the person that you refer and the person you refer to are all going to connect this with you. And so there are 3 people now involved in this. So let me explain what I'm talking about. So this is why I love introductions by email or text. And yeah, you can call them referrals, but what you're really doing is you're introducing an expert or someone who can answer their questions about the topic that's bedeviling them without putting any pressure on anybody. So here's what the message should cover. So you can send an email or text, but you send it to both people. It's to 2 people from you. And that is to the person that you are referring, and also the person you're referring them to, the expert, the provider. So you want to send the text or email to both people. You want to introduce the referral partner as an expert. So I would say you should talk to Lynn, because he knows more about merchant card processing than anybody I know. So that's the expert. And then introducing the referred person as someone having questions. And you don't need to know this person. You could have just met them 5 minutes ago at a networking meeting, and they're like, yay, I'm just getting started with my business and everything is so hard. I can't even accept credit cards yet. Do I need a merchant account? What do I do? And then I say, I know a guy. Let me just kind of hook you guys up and he can answer your questions. And so you want to include the contact information for both, and then you leave the follow-up in their capable hands. This way, everybody is well served. They have a record of the connection, even if they don't follow through or connect immediately. And you've done your job by delivering referrals, and you have served both your friend, who in this example, that's my friend Lynn, and then also this person I just met who's trying to get a business started and needs help with merchant services. So I come out smelling like a rose. And then we have done what we're doing is supporting each other. And I got to say, people love this. And it works so well. There is always a temptation to shortcut things, to do it the easy way. But let me tell you, this is amazingly easy once you get it out. As a matter of fact, I literally have a template for these, an email template for these, that I just copy and paste, make a couple of changes, boom, there it goes. And people love this.
Absolutely great way to do it. And I would throw out one thing not to do if you're in a networking meeting, and I've had people do this to me, say, I know somebody you should talk to. And they pull out their phone, they dial it, and they say, hi, I've got so-and-so here, he does credit card processing. You should talk to him. They hand you the phone. That's the equivalent of somebody saying, you need to talk to my 18-month-old.
Yes.
It doesn't go well.
Exactly. Thank you, Lynn. So when you give, so that way, and nobody's put on the spot.
Yeah.
And it's not embarrassing for anybody, and it's also convenient. So you guys can, message back and forth, whether it's by text or email. When is convenient? How can I help you? What questions do you have? So it's, yeah. Yeah, I hate to pick up the phone right there. That used to work in the 80s, last century, like 50 years ago. It doesn't work
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, you had to talk fast because the cell phone batteries only lasted for 30 minutes. So you had to be quick, but we're different now.
We are different now. Okay, so back to my meetings. So now that I knew where to meet and I had a solid meeting agenda and how to complete that process with a referral by email, that pivotal moment of realizing that the full process, including the referrals, really changed things for me. So anybody interested in seeing my results? I think you already know because I told you. So over those 42 days, I had over 70 one-on-one meetings. Okay, so I had, so that's a lot of meetings. Sometimes I had 4 meetings a day. I parked my rear end at Starbucks and drank latte after latte after latte. Yeah, you laugh, but I was up all night.
Oh, I bet.
And then I ended up giving over 75 referrals, which
Oh, wow.
I was really happy about. Now, not all were successful, but I did my part, and I couldn't refer to everybody because that just doesn't work that way. I mean, there are some
Yeah.
people I've to this day never been able to refer to, but back then I was able to refer, 75 referrals. And you're probably wondering, why do I know all this stuff? Because I keep really good records of what I do with my time. And I was also trying to figure out how if this was going to work, because if it worked, I wanted to be able to duplicate it. I systematize and document everything I do, right down to posting my social media. So this is very much for me. And no, I'm not OCD. I'm just organized. I'm very organized. Okie dokie. So let's talk. So what else happened? I received 48 referrals. Not all of them were right for me. I mean, some people wanted me to make a website and I didn't know how to do it at that point. But I was thrilled that if I couldn't help them through my networking and through getting out there and talking to people, I had other folks that I could refer them to. And I did. And that was fantastic. I really loved that feeling of doing right by somebody else. But the big news was that I had 29 new clients. And I got to say, I was absolutely thrilled. I also have to say that it was too many one-on-one coaching clients for me at that point in my business. It was, so that's a lesson. If you guys were all coaches, we would have a discussion about why and how and all that stuff. But since you're not, I'm just going to say 29 new clients. Exciting. So.
And only one was somebody you actually met with. I think that's important too.
And only one was somebody I actually met with. Oh, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
the rest of these are referrals outside.
Yeah,
So
they were all referrals.
You're not looking for business from the people you're meeting with. You're looking for their people. So I think that's really important point.
It is important. And I wish I would have made a slide about that, because you're absolutely right. All of these people that I called, all of these people that I met with the exception of one guy who turned out not to be my ideal client, were good for referrals, and they were happy to know me and happy to refer to me and be referred to by me. But they were not my clients, but they were happy to see me succeed. And I was happy to see them succeed. Exactly. So let's do a quick little review here of the tools that I use. These are the main tools, and there were 3 of them to kind of get everything rolling. And the first one was the meeting setup, that phone call script. And I'm so grateful. Now, some of you are really good at improvisation. Some of you are extremely good at chit-chatting with strangers. Some of you can just speak off the top of your head and it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. Not me. As a hardcore introvert, I freeze. Sometimes I babble, and I also go blank, like totally forget what I'm doing or who I'm talking to. So I needed to really focus, and I needed to know why I was calling, what I wanted to say, and what my goal was with this call. And that script saved my bacon. It actually made it, well, it would be easy if I weren't afraid of the phone, because it was pretty good. Now, the second thing was the note sheets. And this I developed so that I'd be able to gather information just the right information. So what did I have to know about someone to be able to refer to them with confidence? So who's a good referral for them? We know what was their business like or whatever, and also to refer someone to them. I wanted to refer business to them, and I wanted to understand who they were. So the note sheet. And the third thing was the email introduction, because that ended up being incredibly valuable. So I had a couple of other things that I did. I've had thank you notes, I had follow-up scripts, and then, had these other things, but that again, that's kind of another process. These 3 tools are the things that got me 29 clients. And I think I'm pretty happy with them. I think they're cool. Now, before we get into my 3 big lessons learned, let's take a moment for your questions, because we only have so much time. And I went through my story pretty fast, and I skipped over some of the boring parts and some of the details that Lynn and Becky know, maybe other people here. And Lynn, I'm so grateful to you for mentioning that. But so if you think there's a detail missing, or if you need an explanation of anything I've shared, now is the time to ask. But I do have more stuff that we'll go to in just a minute. So who has a question? I'm looking at, so go ahead. How do you pronounce your name?
So
Cindy?
indeed, yes,
So
so
indeed?
indeed, that's
Sonia.
right. My question is around like what kind of CRM do you use? Because I see all the paid version. Currently, I am aligning towards Zoho, but do you have any other recommendations?
I think Zoho is actually a really good CRM, especially for a small business, because it is very easy to integrate with lots of things. There's a free version for people who are just getting started, and it's affordable for those who want the full meal deal. So
Okay.
if your brain likes it, then I would suggest using it. If your brain doesn't, then you might look around. And I used to suggest different CRMs to people, and I found out, that really the best CRM is the one that we will use, and we will use the one that we find easy and easy to use, and that presents data in a way our mind can grasp it. And they all work differently. So what I say is use the one that works for you, unless it's Excel, because Excel is not a CRM. And I know you're not doing that. Okay, great. Thanks. Any other questions?
Lori wants you to tell the name of that again, the CRM program. What's the name of it?
It's Zoho.
Zoho. Okay.
Zoho. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's been around for a long time. It really does work. And again, if your brain likes it, that's a good one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, there's Lori. Anyone else have a question? All righty. Well, I want to talk to you about my 3 lessons learned, or the mistakes I made so that you don't have to, I guess. That way. So besides having the meetings at home, which you already know, and merging the networking and the sales meetings, which I'm begging of you not to do, I learned 3 other things that I'd like to share with you. And particularly if you want to follow this exact model. And I do want to say before I move forward that you can do this virtually. You don't always have to meet at a Starbucks or at a coffee shop or something like that. I would not recommend getting together over a meal, because it's awkward, it takes too long, and we break bread with people that we're friends with, and it is a very friendly thing to be eating with somebody, but it can give people the wrong impression. Someone might think, are you trying to be my friend, or are you trying to be a business connection? And we just don't need that much stuff. So we want to keep it super, chill and professional in the beginning. Okay, so my very first lesson learned, since I was doing multiple meetings at coffee shops, I learned immediately to drink decaf. Now you may think, haha, so funny, but it's honest. And the other thing is that I would say is, if you are meeting in a public restaurant and you're going to do it more than one day, they're going to hate you unless you buy a lot of of product. You can't sit there for 4 hours nursing 1 cup of coffee. It's not cool. So my recommendation, and they'll get to know you. As a matter of fact, they will upgrade you for free, has been my experience. But you do need to buy something where you are. It doesn't have to be coffee. It could be a bottle of water, but you need to do one every hour. And you also need to tip every time you buy something. And you might think, hey, don't be crazy, but come on now. You're taking up space, and that's just something. So you definitely want to do that. But seriously, about the decaf thing, a jittery you may not be your best representative in a meeting. I'm just saying, I don't know you personally. I'm just saying.
I guess
By afternoon, you might be scaring people off.
I know, because you can get really intense. Hi, I'm really glad to meet you. Or to talk to you in more depth. People, yeah. I'm flushing just thinking about it. Okay, so my second lesson. I also learned the value of being prepared. And this meant following my agenda so that each meeting accomplished the objective of teaching each other to recognize a good referral, and also how to refer, what I wanted them to do. I mean, I got to be honest, people, and I'm not trash talking. They just didn't understand. But there were some people who brought stacks of marketing materials, and some people even brought applications and say, well, just tuck these in the trunk of your car and just like pass them out when you go to a network. And it's like, I'm not going to pass out a mortgage application at a networking meeting. Sorry. So you want to make sure that you get the expectations super clear, that you're just looking to recognize a great referral and understand a workable, easy process for referring. And also being prepared meant having extra note sheets for the folks I met with. Now, a question that often comes up is, well, gee, Ronnie, wouldn't it be better if I had it all filled out? No, it's crazy. That probably seems counterintuitive, but a sheet that you have already filled out is a piece of marketing material. When they fill it out based on the conversation with you after you have just filled out one of your referral sheets, they really get it. This is referral. I'm understanding this information so I can refer to this person. She's already extracted this information from me and written it down. And so now I will do her the same honor. And even if they throw it away or lose it, people, the fact that they're listening and writing it down, because there's that connection between the brain and the hand and handwriting, they're much more likely to remember it. So you want to make sure that that you have people write stuff down. Also, the other way I was prepared is I always looked like I was going to a meeting. I'd never had to apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just coming home from the pool or from yoga or something like that. I always showed up as a professional. Well, Portland professional. So, and also, I wore my name tag in case they didn't recognize me. I always had a pen. And back in those days, I had a watch because we didn't use our phones for that. Now I would use my phone, and I would actually use the timer to show people I'm serious about not wasting their time. And then the third lesson, finally, I learned that no matter how well I did in the first 3 parts of the process, if I didn't close the loop and finish it by sharing referrals, it wouldn't work for me. It was unfinished business, and that didn't help me at all. It didn't help everybody else. Okay, so just as a reminder, if you're writing stuff down, here's what you want to make note of. Here's the process. Connect with others. You can, and the way you connect with them is you meet them somehow and you get their card. You can meet someone and I take the lead meeting. Perfect. It could be a chamber meeting. It could be a women entrepreneurs meeting, whatevs. So you want to connect with other people. Number 2, you want to set up one-on-one meetings to teach each other to recognize and refer so you can help each other build your business. Nothing wrong with that. Third, you actually teach each other how to recognize and refer by understanding what you need to explain to them about who's a good referral, when and why. Now, my little note sheet, which I'm going to give to you for free, is perfect for that. And finally, you want to share those referrals by email or text. Okay, good. All right. So before we wrap it up, I still want to hear what you guys think of this. So please stay with us. I want to hear what your takeaway is. But let me just say that I know why you're here today. I understand. I understand that many of you are more than just in business, that you are on a mission, that you have an important message or service or product or experience to share with the world. And I understand that because I'm on a mission too. My mission is to help small businesses like yours connect with the hungry market that is desperately searching for qualified help like yours, because they have a problem or a need or a desire that they need to deal with. So today we talked about how to make that process happen through networking. And I promise you, I know it works because I've done it myself, and I haven't just done it once. I did it for years. I after my initial flush of new clients, I realized I need to keep this up. And eventually I started going to meetings like I Take the Lead, which was great. And then having these one-on-one meetings, which kept my business booming and booming and booming. I remember in 2008, some of you aren't old enough to know, but we had a major recession. A lot of people went out of business. Lynn, you're nodding. Do you remember that? I didn't. I had a great year and I was a little embarrassed about it. And I get my clients through networking. So let's talk about your next ideas. If you want to use the ideas that I shared today, I say, please do. You'll be able to reach out to others who need your help, need to hear what you have to say, and help them imagine what's possible for them when you work together, and they're going to see you as the answer to their prayers. So instead of relying on your personal circle of, a couple of friends or family to grow your business, you can magnetize a whole market of people looking for help like yours through your colleagues and your referral partners, like the people you're going to find at I Take the Lead. And I know you can do this, even if you're an introvert like me, because if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I know it takes time and effort to set it up, but it's nothing that you can't do. And is there really a much better use of your time scrolling on social media? I don't think so. So I've got some tools that'll help. So let's talk about next steps. So how to apply this strategy to building your business with networking. You can download my free tools. I will give you the link in just a minute. If you feel like joining the DIY to get these and many more tools free and my personal help, that's an option. And also get help working out your process. If you're not a member of I Take the Lead, I strongly recommend that you join. Okay, so let me, I am gonna pop this link in the chat right now. It's just the link. There we go. And so these are the free networking tools I have. My introduction formula, which is crazy useful for networking, and it's going to work really well with my Power Partner networking notes. That's a little note sheet you'll take during the meetings, and you'll get all the answers you need to answer these questions perfectly from the networking introduction. So those things work really well. I've also got a done for you networking strategy cheat sheet with more ideas for making networking work for you. And I've just posted that in the chat. All right. And let me just, so for those of you, because I know I've got some members here, my networking tools for members include, but are in no way limited to, a detailed personal networking plan, as you can see on the far left, that you're going to love, with more details than the strategy one sheet. Also, this is my script for setting up those calls. It's honed and perfected. It works 99% of the time. Plus my email introduction template, which you can have. And these are the exact words that you can use to copy and paste your introductions by email. And you can also edit them if you like. So all of these are yours when you join the DIY. Let me just pop there's a link on the screen, and I'm just going to pop it in the chat so you can take a look at it if you want to. And here's another, actually members get a ton more. Here's a list without going into too many details, because I want a little more time to answer questions. All of this plus dozens and dozens more webinars and tools. It's only $25 a month, and there's no obligation to stay. And there's also no initiation fee. So if you were excited by today's information and you want to use my tools, you can have them all for $25. And that includes a monthly live Q&A, which actually happens to be tomorrow, where you can get your questions answered. Okay, so I've already popped that in the chat. So now I have a question for you. but before I say that, let me just say, let me know if you want my help, because I'm here. I'm here for you. I believe in you, and I want you to bring your awesome to the world. I know you can build your business through networking. Lots of people have. Actually, some people who were in I Take the Lead, and I'm happy to help any way I can. But before we wrap up, here's my question for you, and I'd like to hear from everybody, if at all possible. Oh, darn it. I did that as a direct message. I'm sorry, Cleon. Here is the Join DIY link. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so what great idea did you get today? That's what I want to know. What great idea are you walking away with? Can I hear from everybody? Who wants to go first?
Ronnie, I'll just throw out, because I've heard this a few times. I think it's you drive home the fact that you have to have a process. And it's like, if you take a look at the I Take the Lead meetings, you have a process, we have a format we follow. There's a reason for that. If you just wing it, then you're just going through life winging it. By having a process or a plan or a format to follow, you're professional, and you make sure you hit all the points you need to.
On the nose, Lynn. Thank you so much. You're absolutely right. And it looks like Lori has got her hand and she's ready to go. Lori, what great idea did you get today?
I think I just, what I kind of got from you is that you developed your plan and you stuck with it. You kind of pushed through the uncomfortableness and awkwardness and just showed up prepared. And I think that was really key too. And you kind of just took the lead in your own business. And so that's super encouraging and empowering. So thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Lori. I did take the lead. Yeah. Who is next? Just unmute. I can't see everybody. So, because I've got I'll stop the screen share.
Tom Delaney.
Okay, go ahead,
Okay,
Tom.
there you go.
Yeah, hi. So I am currently kind of pushing a new kind of area of my business, and that's going to require me to network with a very particular type of professional, right? And so, and I've kind of been compiling lists of those. So this is really, really useful, because it's like a great way to go through that list and kind of work that network and become referral partners, with as many of them as I can. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tom. And that actually does work extremely well. Yeah, I've done classes on putting together power panels of partners, or going into a specific vertical market and doing this. This is a perfect process. I'm glad. Okay, so who is next?
Well, while we're waiting, I'll just mention, of course, this is my probably 300th time hearing this, but I love the way that you recognize that you needed to be the first one to be giving referrals. And so you really started focusing on that. And when that happened, everything changed for you.
It did. It was like turning
Yeah.
on a faucet. That's what I used to say. It was amazing. Thank you, Becky. Oh, Barb, I see you have your hand up and you're unmuted. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am. I was impressed with a lot of it. I thought having a pre-made script and a note paper for them was terrific. And it just helped me, because I have hundreds of business cards and I'm always saying, what am I going to do with these? Because some of them are super old. And so this was really good idea for connecting with them. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Barb. Who is next? I'm trying to see. Everybody is on mute. Oh, except for Michael. Michael, you look great. I haven't seen you in a long time. Oh, I can't hear you though.
Oh, he can't. Oh, we can hear him. Yeah. Oh.
There we go. I'm not on mute anymore.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would like to echo what Lynn Gray said, and others. It's a process and a procedure, consistency.
Exactly. Thank you. All right. Any other comments before we say goodbye? We've only got a couple of minutes, Becky.
Yeah, we do. I could pick on people. Cleon.
He said persistence.
There's Cleon's waving. Hello, Cleon. Glad to see you here.
He answered in the chat. He said persistence.
Oh, persistence.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Okay,
he did.
good.
Yeah, he did.
I'm not.
And Debbie said, be prepared to follow the process.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I'll throw out, Ronnie, since you talked about the meetings, if you're having a meeting and you're going out there, have a pen with you and take something to write on.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice that Ronnie has a piece of paper to give people, but not everybody has that. And I can't tell you how many business meetings I've been over the years where people don't have pens, including a friend who was an office supply salesman. He never had a pen.
Okay, so
I sat
so
next to
you
him, and I always get, it just drove me crazy.
so you gave me an opening, and I'm going to take it. So that was one of the reasons I had promotional pens made. So I used to always have a handful of them.
Yep.
And my
Yep.
purple promotional pens, so they're
Yeah.
black pens that said DIY Marketing Center, and they had purple inks. People would be like, "Wow, this is special."
Yep.
And yeah, I carried those around for years. So I always had a pen. So I don't mind if you come without a pen, because I've got one for you.
Yeah.
All righty. So next steps, you guys have it. If you want those materials, again, I put the link to download. You could when you put in your name and your email, and you go immediately to be able to download those 3 things. They're just right there. So there's that. All right, Becky, back to you.
Well, thank you so much, Ronnie. We really, really appreciate you. We miss you.
I miss you.
Yeah, wish you were back
But
out
that's
there.
one of the gifts of the pandemic is we started operating virtually and with Zoom, and Ronnie can run, but she can't hide. We still have her even though she's in Iowa.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
I know. Really grateful.
We stalked her through Spokane and Wisconsin and finally Iowa.
That's right. I can't get rid of you guys if I tried, and I don't want to.
So Cleon raised his hand. Cleon?
Thank you. Thank you very much for this, Ronnie.
You're
One
welcome.
of the things that comes to my mind too, networking over the years, people always ask me, where's the best place for me to network? And my answer is everywhere you go.
Yep.
You can be at the grocery store. And my mantra to have fun, meet people, and learn something. I don't look to sell them anything, to get anything, to give them anything, but the big conversations will start. And by listening to them intently, I find sometimes there's something that they want or need, or they'll say something that will open up another channel to talk to, but you have to listen to them closely. You want to go in with an open mind without questions in the beginning, but just to find out about them. Just have a conversation. And
You are so, I agree 100%, Cleon. I think my strangest place I've ever networked, I was doing laps in the pool. And I literally ran into somebody because she jumped in the pool, didn't realize that we were lap swimmers. And I ran into her with my head. And but we got it all sorted out and everything was fine. And as it turns out, she was looking for someone that I knew through networking, and I was able to refer to her. And I always thought, wow, you really can network anywhere. I mean, so yes, absolutely.
I actually believe it only happened once in all my years. I actually gave an elevator pitch in an elevator. Only happened once, but you got to be ready.
Well, you don't ride enough elevators. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, there you go. Well, good. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here. I will be sending out the replay so you get to go over it in time and time again. And I just got to mention, Ronnie's been sharing this for years with I Take the Lead groups. If you follow it and follow it as she specifies, it'll work for you as well. And I know that Lynn knows that, Cleon knows that. So glad everybody could be here, and thank you so much, Ronnie.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Becky. Super
Yeah,
happy to do
thanks.
this.
Yes, thank you.
Nice to
Appreciate
see
it.
everybody today. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.